Hi guys, sorry about the confusion with the beginning of the live broadcast, but I'm an idiot this morning. I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah. So we're going to paint these flowers that I took photographs of at a birthday party I was at this weekend. Hey Lisa. And I was at the party and there were these beautiful blooms sitting in a pot next to me where I was sitting at the table. And so I started snapping pictures of them. And so we're going to paint these this week, and we're going to do them today with DecoArt Americana paints. And I am just looking for my colors that I want. Oh, I want some white. I want some purples, but this is the wrong color. I want this color. I really love the colors that are in these flowers. Hey, Toy. So we're going to get out some yellow, a couple of yellows. I've got some white. So I've got lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, whitewash, purple pizzazz, which I think is going to be a great color for these flowers because, again, I love the color that's in here. I want to get out some Payne's Gray and some orange. I think I'm going to use the spiced pumpkin. I'm really taking inspiration from the colors of these blooms because they're so beautiful. Now, I did take, hey, the real Myrtle, hey, I did take one of the pictures of these pictures that I took, and it's already on my website, GinaBAhrens.com. The link is to my website, should be in the description of the video. And go to the inspiration photos page. You can download the photo and use it for inspiration for your own artwork. And if you do that, I would love to see what you do with it. And then what I want, I think I want to use a little bit of blue. We're going to use a little bit of primary blue, probably some asphaltum, which is a funny name for a really pretty brown color. These are all, again, these are all Americana, DecoArt Americana acrylic paints. You don't have to have fancy paint to make art and have fun with it. Use what you have, use what you can afford. Don't break the budget going to buy fancy art supplies. Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, had a post about that this weekend on her YouTube channel. There was a video where she has, aren't they pretty? There's a video where she was talking about a new watercolor palette she got really just for the palette box, and she talks about just using inexpensive supplies and what you can afford. I love the video. I love her idea behind the watercolor palette, but also her message is really great and it's very clear. So I do recommend you go to her channel and go look at that. I might want to add a little bit of gold. So we'll see. I don't know. That's a lot of colors, but you know, that's like 9 colors, but I like color. All right, so we're going to use these as our inspiration, and I've got another kind of, what do I call these? Canvas failures. This is from 2013, and this is a small 5x7 canvas. I kind of lost my way on this one a couple of times because there's a couple of different paintings on here, but we're going to turn it into something real pretty this morning with these blooms. So I'm going to take our photos and I'm going to prop them up. They'll be kind of, you'll probably be able to see the bottom half of them on camera. You probably won't see the top half of them. And I need to, oh, there's my phone. Okay. I need to get a plate. In case you didn't hear that clanging sound, I do use ceramic and porcelain plates for mixing because they're easier to clean. And then I can get them really clean and use them for either watercolor or acrylic. And I'll have to have separate palettes. All right. I should have this on this side because I'm right-handed. All right, so let's start with the Payne's Gray. We're gonna arrange them on our palette, and sort of a rainbow color wheel sort of thing. So I'm going to start with my dark colors. work my way to the lighter colors. So that was the blue. Here's the purple. And then we're going to go with the orange. You can arrange your color, your plate, you know, how whatever way makes sense for you. This way usually makes sense for me. Some gold. And then our two yellow colors. This one's not even open yet. I did just get some brand new colors from DecoArt, both in the Americana paints and in the fabric paints. And this cadmium yellow one is a new one that I just got. It's a nice creamy yellow. And then our other yellow, which is more chalky and more lemony. You can see the difference between the two. And then we're going to put white in the middle. Now, I love the colors of these blooms, but maybe you take an inspiration photo of something, some other flowers that you like the shape and composition of, but you're not crazy about the color. You can paint them in any color that you want. I would recommend printing the photo in black and white so you get the tonal value of the inspiration photo without getting distracted by the colors of the original blooms. All right, I got my brushes all damp. Let's see, we're going to start with the background because you all know I like to paint the background in and get that done so that after I get the blooms painted, I don't have to go back and touch up the background. I'm going to use my photos as inspiration for the painting. I'm not looking to copy them exactly, but I definitely want to get the feeling of the blooms on the canvas. So we're going to see how far we get there. I'm going to start with my darkest color, and I'm going to not only paint the background, but I'm going to remember to get my edges. And I'm going to, without cleaning the brush, I'm going to pick up some of the brown. I want something kind of abstract and dark in the background so that the light blooms really show up. I want them to be the focus, not the background. Now remember, with acrylic paint, is the fabulous thing about acrylic paint over watercolor is that you can really just layer your colors on top of each other. So if you get, you know, something too dark or too light in the wrong spot, just let it dry and you can go right over it with more paint. With watercolor, you can't do that. So you can really start out really dark and then make your canvas lighter with the acrylic paint. So I'm just making sure primarily to get the edges, and then we'll focus on the background. Okay. Get that done and not mess it up. All right, so now I want to actually take, I'm still using the dark colors, but I want to map in some flower shapes, or at least the centers, kind of put where I want to have my flowers be. Let's see. The centers are really, really dark, so I'm going to use this Payne's Gray. We'll see if I decide to put one up here or not. Right now we're going to just do two. We'll see. I don't know. There's maybe this one down here. There's one kind of hiding back here. I don't know what kind of flowers these are. I have no idea. I was asked that on Facebook. Somebody said they look like a cone flower. I think that's what they said. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Now we do want to have a light source in the background. So I'm going to take some of our Payne's gray and put it on here, and then right on the canvas I'm going to take some white and mix it in. Again, we're working on the background. We're not, I'm going to, you know, take some of this color and I want my background to be abstract. I want it to be expressive. I don't want it to be anything else. And if some of the original background shows, I'm okay with that. Probably when I'm done, not too much of it's going to show. They are a little bit like Black-Eyed Susan. They do. I agree with Lisa. They look like they're in the Daisy family. I'm going to take a little bit of the lightest yellow, just a little bit. Again, we're just working on our background, having some fun. That was a little bit of the orange. Helpful Potato, hello. Some of your names on YouTube are hilarious. The Helpful Potato, and that you might have a great reason for that, but I do have to say it makes me smile, and I like that. All right. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good start. We're going to put the large filbert brush away. And what am I going to start with now? I think we're going to dry it. I really want to dry this. I don't want to get the yellow too muddy. So let's give this a quick dry. Be careful when you're doing this with acrylic paints because it's basically plastic. So if you get it too hot too quickly, it's going to bubble up and like melt like plastic would, and you're going to get a texture you might not want. Now we're going to go with a smaller filbert brush, and I love the filbert for flower petals. I'm going to use my darker yellow and hopefully do this without messing up. I'm going to start out at the end of the petal and pull it in towards that dark center I painted and lift it up as I do. Now really look at your inspiration photo, because like not all your petals are going to be facing the same way. Not all of them are going to be shaped the same. So you might need to turn your brush to get some interesting petals that resemble what's going on in your inspiration photo. But we just want to get it kind of mapped out now. And these will be longer down here than the ones back here in the photo are shorter. The yellows are pretty transparent, so you generally have to put a few layers of paint down and some white. I'm doing the back flower first. Yes, he's actually fine. He is old. He needed to have, this morning I took him to the vet to get some blood work and stuff done. He's going to be getting his teeth cleaned in that. And because he's old and cranky, they're going to anesthetize him. So that means that he has to have blood work to make sure, you know, that everything's okay before they put him under. So while these petals are still wet, I'm going to start from the flower center side with the white, and I'm going to pull it up. Now, it's going to blend a little bit with the yellow where the yellow has kind of dried. It won't so much. That's okay. This is just a first layer. We're not married to this layer. And thankfully our dog, back to the dog, he likes our vet, so he doesn't mind going there until they like break out the needles, and then he's never too happy about that, but you know. And I can't lift him up and get him into the back trunk area of the car anymore. He's too heavy for me, so I had him in the back seat, but he seemed to like that better, I think, anyways. So now I'm going to go into the tips with our yellow. And again, you know, I'm not a realist painter, so I'm not looking for an exact copy of the photo. I do want to get that impression of the photo. And I'll know for myself when I've got something that's making me happy. I just want to give you guys some ideas of what you can do. Oops, that was the wrong color. They are very important. He's a member of the family. So they're going to clean his teeth, and they're going to clip his toenails and all of that stuff. They're going to put him under. It's less stressful for him. So this is the lighter yellow. Now, remember as you're doing this that, you know, flower petals are not perfect. And if you are working from my inspiration photo or yours, if you look at the flower petals, they are not perfectly round on the end. So as you're adding your layers of colors to your petals, you might want to think about making the edges less perfect and more suggestive. It'll give you a little bit more of hinting at that real flower. And all these different colors are just going to add more interesting layers to your flower. Yeah, safer, way safer for the vet. He likes them, but yeah, way safer for the vet. He does not like having his toenails clipped. He is not one of these dogs like my mom's dogs that will just sit there and let you clip his toenails. That's never been Bandit. He's not okay with that. And, you know, they're also going to clean his teeth, so that's not going to go for very well. Okay, so now I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and I'm going to work on the flower center. This is a stippling brush, low Cornell stippling brush, real short, stiff bristles. This is a 1/4 inch stippler. And I generally have to order these from somewhere because I don't usually see these at the art store. Somebody may carry them. I haven't figured out who it is yet, but my places near me don't have them. I'm going to start with the blue, and I'm going to just do this. Just tap, 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 tap. And I'm going to wipe it off. And this is canvas that I use to make journal covers and stuff with. So I'm just going to wipe my brush off on here. Then I'm going to go in with the brown. Tap, tap. The brown and blue will mix a little bit, which is okay. I'm not going to hit it on all the same spots so it won't all mix. And that's actually what I want. Hey, Donna. So I'm going to come in with the purple that I have here. And I'm going to go around the edges. I was almost late today. It was Donna's fault. We were chatting. Blame it on Donna. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with my filbert brush. I better clean it a little better because the yellow and purple will make brown. I don't want brown. Okay. So here's some of the more of the purple. pull it up into the yellow petals. Don't forget to if you need to, get the baby wipes out. Baby wipes are great for blending, removing paint, pushing it around on your canvas. And that's, I love that. See, you got the baby wipe out. Yeah, you use it later for a journal cover. You could make, I've made tote bags out of them, pencil bags, yeah, all kinds of stuff. I do have a cutting mat on the table, a big one, but okay, hang on, guys. We've got to text the husband because he doesn't know that I picked the dog up. So hold on. Okay, so we'll tell him he's fine and I'm live on YouTube. Talk to you later. All right, so that's doing pretty good. I want to let that dry a little bit. Before I do, though, I want to take some of my orange. There are these little orange, like, I don't know, they're like seed heads or something in these flowers. So we're going to take this little tiny brush and we're going to just tap some of the orange in here. Now, this may not be completely done. I'm probably going to come back in here with some more colors before we're done. But look at that pop you get in there. And this is acrylic paint, so it's all about layers of interesting marks. Don't treat anything too preciously. That is so pretty. Okay, let's do this one. Should we do this one? Wait, I want to. Where's mine? Lost track of my brushes here. Let's use this one. This one? Yeah, this one. I want to do this here. Let's see. So that's the white and some of the yellow. Oops. So when you have a painting like this, when you have flowers layered over the top of each other, it's really helpful to start with the flower that's farthest in the back and then work your way forward. You really want to get this flower almost perfect because parts of this flower are going to overlap that one. I think that's how I'm going to paint it. So if that's the case, then this one needs to be perfect so that I don't have to go back and touch anything up. I will tell you guys that I appreciate all of you. There is somebody or a couple somebodies here on the channel that seems to not like any of my live broadcasts. I'm not sure what's up with that. There's a couple of somebodies that give all the live broadcasts a thumbs down, and that's fine. As my channel grows, I just have to get used to that. I'm here to share my love of art with you all, so not everybody's going to like that, and that's fine. But it is kind of funny. I just expect now all the live broadcasts to get 1 or 2 thumbs down because there's somebody out there on my channel that just does not like them. And that vibrating was my husband texting me back. Okay, good. He had to make himself a note this morning to not feed the dog because we couldn't feed him before he had to go get his test done. You know, like the rest of us, when you have blood work and stuff done, you have to fast. And look at the more layers we put on this flower. Look how much it's coming alive. Okay, we're going to go with the darker yellow. And I want to just pull it in. Pulled it in too much. Yeah, it's just, these kind of paintings don't take long, and you really start to get the idea, an impression of that flower, that expressive picture of that flower that you want. It doesn't really take much. Hey, Ian, how are you? I am going to start paying attention in my photo to where the, darker sections of the petals are. And I think I'm going to take some of this darker yellow and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of the orange. I want a darker golden orangey kind of color. I'm going to use this for my shadow color on the petals. And to add some extra layer of petals in between that are darker. If I forget to talk, you guys need to just start, I don't know, texting me. We need a buzzer on the YouTube live thing. I start painting and I'm here by myself. I have anybody helping me with comments or anything. I envy some people like Cinnamon Cooney who go live and, her husband helps her in that, because that would be handy. All right, we're going to mix some brown in here because I want to stick it in here. There is always some crazy people out there, isn't there, Lisa? Some spoiled apples I like, or soiled apples. I like that. I'm going to do this because I'm not okay with this part here. I don't know. This part's bothering me. I probably should have put a bigger, darker background on here. Yep, you do see gold paint on there. I haven't gotten to the gold yet. We will be, though. I like the Americana gold paint. Okay, that's not bad. I'm going to take some of the yellow and some of the blue and make some green. Now we are using craft paints, basically. Americana acrylic paints are craft paints. They don't blend the same way artist paints do. That doesn't mean you can't use them. That doesn't mean that you can't make them work. So they just blend differently. So it might be more challenging for you to get the color that you're looking for. It's probably one of the reasons they make so many colors, so you don't have to do any blending. Soiled works too, Lisa. So these are flowers, and there was some greenery in the inspiration photos. And again, for those of you just joining us, these were taken at a birthday party I was at this weekend. And at least one of the copies of the photos that I took are available for you to download and use in your artwork from my website, GinaBAhrens.com. And feel free to go over there and download any of the inspiration photos from the inspiration photos page and use them with my blessing. I would love to see what you do with them, whether you paint with them or something else. That would be fabulous. Okay, I think we're going to leave that for right now, and we're going to work on the other flower for a minute. I have to decide if I want this one to be under that one or above that one. If I want it to be under, I should have done this one first. See, nobody's perfect. We all screw up. But I could fix it. Let's do white first this time. Really push down on the filbert, and then as we bring it up towards the flower center, lift, and you get this interesting petal shape. It is, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to go a little bit apart on them to start, at least. It's all, you know, acrylic paint is all about layers, and at some point your painting is going to, you're going to look at it and go, holy crap, that is really ugly. Every painting has an ugly duckling stage. All of them do. Almost every artist that you talk to will admit that it does. And you just have to keep working through it and adding your layers and marks until you get something that's really beautiful. All those other layers underneath are going to give your picture some depth and character and help you create something that's really interesting. I'm going to wrap some of my petals around the edge of the canvas. Let's see. I think I'm going to do this. I know I'm crazy and you're all cringing. I can hear you. Exactly, the real myrtle. Everything that, you know, in art has some kind of ugly duckling stage. So now I'm going to go in with my lightest yellow. And I'm going to, again, start at the tip and I'm going to drag it towards the flower center, but not all the way down. This time I started with the white because now we have an opaque background for our yellows. There's neither way is wrong. Just work with whatever way you think is going to work for you. This is a filbert brush. This is a Snap number 8 filbert. I got these at Aaron Brothers Art and Framing, I should say, which is a subsidiary of Michael's Arts and Crafts. And I got them when they were, I think they were either buy one, get one free or buy two, get one free. Hey, Cody Doll, hey. I'm going to go into our darker yellow now and just like at the tips of the petals and pull it down just a bit. I like the filbert because I prefer a flat brush most of the time when I'm painting with acrylic paint, and the filbert has a nice rounded edge. It gives you a nice mark. Okay, we're going to dry that a little bit. Okay, now we're going to come in again. We're going to go in with the white in between the two. Now, remember that in nature, like I said before, flower petal, nothing is straight and even. Things are wonky. So, you know, you probably don't want your flower petal edges to be perfect because they'll look more real if they're not. I have, and I actually have them in my watercolor collection of brushes. They are an interesting brush, and Ian, and I need more help with them, or not help, practice. I need more help with a lot of things, but I need probably more practice with them, but I do like them. I was very intrigued by them. So when I was buying some new watercolor brushes, I bought them, and I think I bought the Princeton Neptune ones. They're very interesting brushes. So I'm just giving these in between petals a quick coat of white. Of course, you know that's not our final layer. Now we're going to go in with the yellow from the edge and pull it down. And as I'm putting the yellow in, I'm trying on purpose to, whoops, that was the wrong color, to have a little bit of a rounded edge, but not have to be too perfect. I almost did it again, wrong color. Don't be afraid to do this. If you want to buy some Americana, DecoArt Americana paints or any of the other DecoArt products, they're readily available at most of your big box craft stores and art stores, and you can also go to DecoArt.com. When I started back to painting, I started with craft paint. It's what I could afford. I had to save up to get my other paints. Well, that's a good use for it. Ian, sign writing. Okay, so now we're going to go in with our darker yellow. And while we're doing this, I may come into some of these in-between petals and just add a little something. DecoArt's pretty well known, I think, worldwide brand. And they make decent supplies, especially for those of us who really just want to make art and play and don't have, you know, a ton of money in the bank to spend on art supplies. So now I'm going to come in with my orange. And again, I think I'm going to take a blob of this and mix it with the yellow and just lighten it up a bit. DecoArt, this is DecoArt Americana Craft Paint. Okay, so now I'm going to try to figure out which petals I want to be in the forefront. I'm going to actually start here. So I'm going to darken the petal. I should really be doing this with a smaller brush. Okay, we're going to use this little tiny brush. So I'm going to put some paint on there, and I'm going to darken the petal that's in the back. And I put some paint on there, but that might be too much. Too much. So maybe have a baby wipe. There we go. So you can define your petal shapes a little bit. I mean, depending, do this, you know, do as much of this as you feel like you need to suggest, you know, your painting and what you want your painting to say. I'm putting some paint on there. I'm giving it suggestive lines. I'm also smudging them with my fingers. And I am going to make sure my baby wipe is handy and available. Should I get some in a place where I don't want it? Try to use the paint up that's on the filbert brush. Okay. Now this little brush that I have in my hand is from a set of small tiny brushes from the model department at Hobby Lobby. You know, that department where they have the model cars and stuff. I was there getting some stuff for my husband for him He likes to do model cars and things, and he needed some brushes, and I saw these and was like, ooh, I wonder how those would work with acrylic paint. And you know what? They work great. And they were super affordable. It is opaque. It's a craft paint, Ian. So, you know, they're not pigmented the same as your artist paints. They're just not. So yes, it's opaque, but like your colors that would naturally be more translucent, like your yellows, just because of that pigment, are even more so in the craft paint, and they don't always blend the same. So this may be a little too dark in some places, but that's okay. It's just another layer. I can still kind of see where my definitions are of my petals, so before I lose them too much. And some of this up here might get lost because I think I'm going to bring this flower back. That's okay. All right, so now I'm going to go into the yellows, the darker of the yellow. We're going to go basically over some of the same places that we put the orange. Yeah, really look outside the box for your brushes, you know, look in some of those other departments. Okay, white. I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, you just made those all darker. Now you're going to make them lighter. Yes, yes, yes. Layers of color, layers of color. And one of the reasons I'm using this lighter brush is I'm not covering up all of the darkness that I put on there. And I'm not even trying to blend it. I'm really just putting streaky lines in there, suggestive of the flowers in the picture in nature. Turning the canvas, gives me a different perspective, and also ensures that I don't get my hand stuck in the wet paint. Yeah, see, and these were really inexpensive. I think they were, the set of them was like $5 for 5 brushes or something. It was a pretty good deal, I thought. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the filbert here, and we're going to stick with take some of the white and a little bit of the yellow, just make it a little bit off white. Okay. Just make it so it's not quite so starkly white. I don't paint models. My husband uses enamels. I don't do that. Tedium and me do not get along. So I'm going to just do this a little bit because there is some lightness to part of the flower center. So I want to just add. We're going to be working on this some more, but that's starting to pop out very nicely. I love DecoArt paint. All right, so now we're going to, before we do the center, I want to take a little bit of our purple. I don't want too much. And I'm going to lightly touch my brush to the canvas, very lightly, and start at the center and pull the purple up. I love the combination in the real flowers in the inspiration photo of the yellow and the purple. It was just such a pretty combination. My husband just recently got back into model painting after taking a break from it for a long time. So any more questions than that, you'd really have to ask him, because I don't know. I don't paint miniatures. I don't have the patience for it, to be honest with you. So I'm just kind of using the edge of my brush to really pull a few pieces of the purple up into the petals. I almost said leaves. You guys would have gotten the idea. There we go. All right, I'm going to go to my stippling brush. Stippling. All right, we are going to start with blue. Payne's gray. A little bit of the asphalt, the brown. I'm just tapping it onto the canvas with the stippling brush. I'm going to go in with that little tiny brush from the model painting department. And I'm going to start with the orange. There's a few dots of orange in this flower center of in one of the inspiration photos. Exactly. I love, nature is a fabulous inspiration if you get, stuck on, what color to use on a project. Go outside and take a walk, because nature is fabulous for that. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with the gold. There's too much gold right here. It's too blobby, so we're going to touch it up here by darkening it. Some of it up with a Payne's gray. It's a great thing about acrylic paint. You can just layer it on top of each other. Okay, so now we need to dry it again, I think. Let's see. I want to get it pretty good. Let's see. Let's take some of our brown and some of our yellow. Yeah, if Ian's having help with the miniatures painting and any of you guys can help him, please do so. I don't paint miniatures. I have absolutely no patience for that. People who know me in real life just laugh at that because they know it's totally true. Okay, so before we fix this mess here, because we do need to fix that, I do think I want to come in here. Now, while I'm not going to treat any parts of my painting as more precious than the other, and if I get paint on something, that's fine. It's acrylic paint, so like I said, you can bring it back with by just putting more layers. But I do think I want to put, there's a hint of another flower here. I like things in groups of 3. I think they're more interesting. So I think that we're going to put a flower here, like it's peeking out from behind. No, I haven't. I have done alcohol ink on ceramic tiles. I've painted on rocks. Does that count? With this paint, and it's fabulous on that. I have a brother-in-law who does miniature painting too. So I painted on rocks, Ian, with this paint, and it was great. It worked fabulously. So just same kind of layers. And you know, if you're doing this, I would start with this flower, and then this flower, and then that flower. I did it totally backwards. So anyway, live and learn. We're going to be trying to paint the same inspiration photo in watercolor on Wednesday, I think. So we'll see how it goes. I enjoyed painting on rocks, so I could see me painting on a piece of slate at some point because the rocks were pretty fun. It would just depend on if I could get them for, you know, cheap or free, to be honest. So now I'm going to come back in with a little bit of the white from the other direction. Okay, just a little bit. Not too much. Okay, and then our orangey mixture here dried up, so we're going to make some more. And first I'm going to darken the edges of the petals. Let's see, the edges are pretty dark on this one. I've got some of the petals wrapping around the canvas, so it just makes it interesting. So. If you really want to learn how to do interesting expressive florals, think about taking one of Pauline Agnew's classes. In fact, I think she has one that's just on florals. I haven't taken it yet, but it's on my bucket list. Okay, now come back in with one of the yellows. Let's see. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good. Now we're going to come in with the purple. I should really have this in here. Okay. We're going to start at the center again and pull it out. Now this one's really hiding behind the other flower, so there's not a lot of the flower center showing. That would be cool, Donna. Thank you. Donna has some really cool flowers that near her that she thought would be really interesting paintings. A little too much paint right there. There we go. That's better. Okay, so where's our stippling brush? Let's do a little bit of stippling because if nothing else, I think I want the texture in there. And we're gonna just put a little bit of it here. Not too light because, like I said, this flower center is in the back. It's pretty dark in the inspiration photo. So I actually don't want to lighten it up too much. Oh, cool. Thanks, Ian. You know, that's one of the reasons I started the inspiration photo page on my website, was so we could all share inspiration photos, because, you know, we all want to paint, we all want to play, we all want to experiment, and maybe at some point we want to sell said piece of artwork. And finding sites that will let you use the photo is really tough. Yeah, and really made it start to pop off, right? Okay, so, but we're not done. We're not done. I am going to, although this is really dark in the picture, there are a couple of highlight spots, and I'm going to add them with the orange. And then I'm going to go with a little bit of the gold. Not too much. I don't want to do too much. Okay. So now I want to come back in before we do this again. We're going to do this one last. We've got to fix that. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to actually, let's dry this back. So acrylic paint, craft paint usually dries pretty quickly. So I just really want to take the shine off of it when I do that. So I want to just come in here and redefine some of these petals that you might have lost, or you might have started to, you know, mess up the edges when you did that back flower. Make them pop out again by going in and touching them up a bit. And I love really working with colors like yellow because they're very sheer, and you can put them on here and still see all the other colors and layers in between. I kind of like that. So Ian, you can either post them in the Facebook group and create an album for yourself in the Facebook group, or if you want to send them to me with your permission and I can put them on my website. Either way, the easiest way is to do it in the Facebook group. I'm going to take a little bit of our brown and a little bit of our purple and mix them together. And we're going to just put a little bit of a shadow here. And then a little bit of paint, and then I'm going to come in with my baby wipe very lightly and just rub it back. There we go. Perfecto. Okay. Now I've got to decide what I'm going to do with that one. I want to do something over here first. Let's see. First, I'm going to mix our blue and our purple together. I think you are in the group, Ian. A Life of Art and Self-Expression. Again, the link should be in the description below for those of you who aren't members. And you can create a photo album for yourself and put a note on the photo album that these pictures are okay for anybody to use for art. I think that's wonderful if we can share things like that. Oh, see, that's looking good. All right, I'm going to bring back some of our orange dots though. And some gold dots. Oh, that's so good. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. All right, so now we have to. I'm really happy with this. I'm pretty happy with this. We need to do something about this flower. So let's work on that. Let's first do petals. So I do think that. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to get a lot of white. There we go. I know what you're all like cringing over there. I don't even have to look at the chat to hear the cringing. I don't have to be right there. I can hear it. Now, when you have an inspiration photo, you could do something completely abstract, and you could really be inspired by the colors and feeling you get from the inspiration photo and create something completely abstract that looks nothing photo. So that's another way to take some of these photos that would be a lot of fun. And you really should look forward to me doing that at some point in the future, because I don't do abstracts enough, and I really enjoy doing them. And this always makes me really happy, this palette plate, because that always, when it starts to get messy like that, I always think, oh wow, really having fun with their paint. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the darker yellow. Not right there. Holy cow. All right, darker yellow. Didn't I say darker yellow? Yeah. I'm going to, again, make some of our lighter orangey color. Oh, hey, Karen. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think live streaming is a lot of fun. I sometimes get caught up in what I'm painting and forget to talk too much, but I like to watch live streams and or listen to them if they're, you know, ones where somebody's actually remembering to talk while they're arting, which wouldn't be me because I forget a lot. So I'm just adding our layers of yellows, whites, and oranges to the petals to really make them pop, being conscientious of the fact that I want this flower to look like it's behind that one. So this one's either got to be darker or this one's got to be lighter. And I think we're going to darken up some of this one back here. I think we're going to put a little bit of a shadow. Let's see. There we go. So your edges of your petals would be darker. The petals that are on top would be lighter. The ones underneath would be darker. So, you know, just go around your painting and make sure you get all your shadows and highlights kind of in the right place. Oh, sorry, the real Myrtle. Sorry. I had a teenage girl. I didn't have boys, so good luck with it, whatever it is. And like I've said a million times, acrylic paint is much more forgiving than watercolor. You really can, if you make a mistake and get the wrong color in the wrong place, just, you know, give it a minute, let it dry, and go back in there with another color. It's not a big deal. Layer your colors on top of each other. That was the wrong color. And just keep playing until you get a composition that you're really happy with. That's actually not bad. Okay, so now we're going to hopefully make it pop. We're going to clean off the yellow. And we are going to go into our purple. And we're going to pull it from the center out. Okay. I'm going to, there's a little bit too much purple there. That's all right, we'll make it work. Okay, we're gonna mix some of our blue and purple together again. make sort of a darker purplish blue color. Again, I think this is purple pizzazz and primary blue. For those that want to know, I'm going to take this darker purple color and I'm going to put it in the center. And again, I'm going to pull it out. I'm not looking to cover up all of that first purple. I'm just looking to give it some depth. I really like this color on here. So I think we're going to take a little bit of it and put it down here. And over here, that really made the centers here pop on these flowers. Get a little bit in a place I don't want it, so we're gonna, rather than putting another layer of paint, I'm going to just take in the baby wipe. All right, wipe off the excess paint on my canvas here. All right, that's looking pretty good. We're gonna get in here with the stippling brush and start with, I think the Payne's gray, maybe some blue. Now this one, because it's in the photo, it's kind of lying farther tilted away from the camera. It's more of an oval than it is round. So we want to make sure we kind of emphasize that. I'm going to take some of my white and mix it with the Payne's gray and get a lighter color. Maybe drag in some of our dark purple. And looking at the photo and just by tapping my stippling brush, because I want that kind of texture in the paint color. I'm going to give the flower center some highlights and kind of continue to try to emphasize that sort of oblong shape that we have. Okay, a little bit of the brown will hurt. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So we're going to go into our little small brush. Let's see, what are the paints like for drying time? They actually dry very quickly, so if you're not okay with that, then you might want to add some extender to the paint. They do, DecoArt does make an extender, but they do dry pretty quickly. Okay, that's the orange. We're going to go in with some of the gold. I'm going to go down here and fix this one a little bit. Just getting some paint on the brush and I'm just tapping it on the canvas, making little dotted marks. Then I'm going in and I'm not cleaning it off super well, more than wiping it on my drop cloth here and picking up the gold. Yeah, they dry pretty quickly. I think they dry a little bit faster than a normal acrylic. All the Americana paints, in my opinion, do. So, you know, your heavy body artist acrylics dry a little slower than these do. But I kind of like that they dry fast. If you don't like that, then you could add, like I said, add the extender to it, and that would really aid in the extension of the drying time for you, because not everybody's going to like that they dry quickly. And some of your heavy body paints really take a long time to dry. I'm gonna take a little bit of my yellow and pull it over here into the white. And we're gonna stick with this little small brush for a minute. And I just want to kind of do this and just look at how that makes those petals pop. I'm not going to blend out those brush marks. I'm going to let them be suggestive the way they are. And this is a great color because it's really light and almost white, but not white. So it's going to really give you something interesting. If you lose sight of where your highlights should be, or where your suggestions of petals, you notice I'm suggesting, I don't know, maybe you guys can't notice, I'll zoom in a minute here, but I'm suggesting edges of the petals that actually aren't even there, and I'm not going to make them be there. It's really, well, you can kind of see it right there. Oh, Dawn, welcome. Well, welcome. And, I'll be painting this a couple times. I really love, if nothing else, the color of these flowers. And I was saying earlier in the broadcast, since you just woke up, that, this is the kind of photo that you could totally take and use as inspiration just because of the colors of the petals. You don't even have to actually try and paint the flowers. Use the photo as color inspiration, because, man, aren't those colors just fabulous. On Wednesday, we're going to do it in watercolor. I'm going to do it a few times, I'm sure, just because the picture intrigues me and the colors do too. So yeah, I will probably most definitely be doing this a few times. And this broadcast will be on YouTube. It takes a few minutes for it to load, but it will be on YouTube. So if you've missed all or part of it, just wait a little bit and it'll be on YouTube. All the paints are from DecoArt. Of course, it's Monday with DecoArt. Hey, Josie. Ian, yes, sometimes I do use Paint My Photo. When I want to paint something that there's no way on the planet that I can find a way to take a picture of it myself, such as I want to do a watercolor elephant. So I live in California. I don't know where I'm going to find an elephant. So I would go to Paint My Photo. I do try to use my own photos wherever I can. Now, I did pull some of the petals around to the edges of the canvas, so I am, putting these little highlights in, and I want to make sure I do it on the edges of the flower petals as well as the foreground on the front of the canvas. I want it to look like it's intentional. And I saw a couple more questions there, so hang on a second, guys. Okay. I'm going to come back in with just here. Okay, let's see. So yeah, so it must have something to do with the pigment. Most of your watercolors, your better watercolors, are made with natural pigments and not dyes. And I bet you that a lot of your, especially the craft paints, are probably dyes. So the dyes are probably more transparent than the pigments. Craft paint's really transparent, but a lot of yellows are very transparent, especially in acrylic paint, even golden yellows. So you really need to start with like a white base to get that to have the yellow really cover. I am using Hangout, Ian. And by the way, Cora K, welcome. I'm not one that's really big on chemistry and the chemistry of paint. And when I try to learn it, I fall asleep. Just FYI. So, you know, but there are other artists out there that know a lot more about it than I do. Cinnamon Cooney is one of them. But it's got to have something to do with whatever they've used to color the paint. And I would guess that it's probably something that's more dye based. You're welcome. You know, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you guys I don't know the answer. I won't try and fake it. I don't do that. So, and there's lots of answers I don't know. One of the reasons I started my channel was to share my adventures with art and also get ideas from all of you and those that are more experienced than me. So I don't know everything. And if I did know it, I probably forgot it because, you know, that's what I do. All right, let's see. I'm just adding these like suggestive lines to the flowers. I'm really liking them, so I'm doing them. I'm really liking this painting. It's almost done. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes, I'm taking some of the purple paint here, very light touch, and pulling out some lines from the center of the petals. Not everywhere, just in a few spots. These little touches make your painting pop, so. So if you guys have any inspiration photos that you would love to share with our little art family and let people paint from them, be inspired by them, create works they keep or for sale from them, if you are okay with them using them royalty free, then by all means create yourself some photo albums over in my Facebook group. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And you know, put a note on the photo album that these are free for people to use and be inspired by, so that they know that they have your permission, that they're royalty free. And you know, let's do what we can to share. Paint My Photo is fabulous. If you don't want to do that and you have no pictures, Paint My Photo, which is what Ian said, PMP, it's called Paint My Photo. If you Google it, you'll find the website, and it is a fabulous place to get royalty free photos. That you can paint from. Let's see, what is this? This is a 5 by 7 inch canvas, Ian. It's just a little one that I had a painting failure on it. You know, we all have a stash. If we've done art, we have a stash of painting failures, right? We all have a stash somewhere. I've got a larger stash probably than most because, you know, I, you know, had no problem with experimenting on big canvases when I was first starting out and did not know what I was doing. So now I have a stash of them that has to have something done with it at some point. I thought I'd start with the little ones because they're less intimidating to show on camera. What do I mean by that? I know somebody's going to ask me. So some of my big ones are really ugly. So, you know, at some point I'm going to do those on camera, and we're going to do them live, and we're going to, I'm going to show them, and we're going to paint over them. And some of those big ones may be a 2-session thing because they're really big, but we'll be doing them on camera. I have lots of painting failures. I love this. I'm going to stop touching it because I love the way it looks. I'm going to move the wet paint. So these are the photos that we were being inspired by. And this is, as you guys know, this is as realistic as I ever get. And I love that. You definitely could use the inspiration photo. You know, like I said, if you just took the feeling and colors that you get when you look at this photo and did an abstract piece from it, that would be fabulous. And I will be trying that at some point. When I know this is completely dry, I will probably stop, go to my P.O. box, have some lunch and all of that. Then I'll come back. It'll be, by then it'll be completely dry. I'll be sure even the thickest parts will be dry. And I'll be giving it a nice coat of Deco Page. And I will probably use the antique. I like using the antique one because it has a little bit of a tint in it. And let me find it for you. Let's see. There we go. This. And then I give it a coat. I let this dry. This is slightly tinted, just off. It's got a little bit of a like antique color to it. A little bit. It's a little bit creamy colored. It still dries very clear and translucent. So I will give it a coat of this, let it dry completely. And this is like any other decoupage glue or sealant. If it's in the right environment, it will get sticky, right? We don't want that. So after this is dry, I will give the whole thing a nice coat of Americana Decor Cream Wax. Let this dry. This dries really hard, and it doesn't reactivate. So these two things will protect the finish on the canvas. I will also make sure to redate the back because it says 2013. And on, so I'm going to leave those out because I'm going to need them later. On Wednesday, for Watercolor Wednesday, we will be doing these in watercolor. We'll be doing some more experimenting. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I do want to, going forward for Monday with DecoArt, I want to break, at some point, we're going to break out one of my big canvases and we're going to actually do a face. And we will probably do it in stages. We'll be using Americana Decor paints and probably the DecoArt Artist Traditions paints and maybe some of their fluid acrylics, all DecoArt paints on a big canvas. And we will also be painting a piece of furniture at some point because I have to do that too. And I've got some of their chalk paint to do that. So all those fun things to look forward to. I also have an elephant I want to do in watercolor. I've got some on, if you're in the watercolor World of Watercolor Facebook group, you saw that somebody over the weekend posted some watercolor experiments of where they did water droplets in watercolor. And I'd seen that before and then I forgot about it. And you know, we're gonna work on that. I think it would be a fun practice exercise. So we're gonna do water droplets in watercolor. And we may do them in acrylic paint too, because they're different. Wash works. All right, I will see you all on Wednesday, those of you who want to be here. Otherwise, I'll see you next Monday. Thank you for joining me with Monday with DecoArt Live. I hope you have some fun painting some flowers. Don't feel like you have to buy expensive paints. Americana paints by DecoArt work just fine. And again, these are Purple Pizzazz, Primary Blue, Whitewash, Asphaltum, which is a really pretty bluish brown color, Payne's Gray, Spiced Pumpkin. I can put them up this way, then you guys can see the tops. Well, except for this one that's all smooched up. Glorious Gold, Cadmium Yellow, and Lemon Yellow. These are the colors we use today. All right. I will see you all later. Have some fun, create some art, and don't forget the most important thing. Y'all know what that is, right? Go out and yourself and maybe somebody else, because you deserve it and they probably do too. All right? Make some art, create some pretty things, share in the Facebook group. I'd love to see it there. Feel free to leave a comment, question, or concern here or in the Facebook group. If it's in the Facebook group, tag me in the post because that way you can be assured I'll see it. Otherwise, it's possible it gets missed. The group is growing, so I do miss things. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Have a great afternoon if you're on the West Coast. If you're pretty much anywhere else in the world, have a good evening, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye, guys.